Brothers out there, sit down for a minute. Turn the noise down. Put the phone aside, just for a moment. Tonight, we're not talking about becoming some perfect man. We're not talking about loud slogans, the kind that sound powerful at midnight but disappear by morning. We're not talking about becoming the top 1%. We're not talking about beating everybody. We're not talking about proving to the whole world who you are. Tonight, we're talking about something more real, something quieter, something that may have been happening in the lives of many men out there without anyone noticing. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's any man who has ever sat alone at night, looked back at the day he just lived, and asked himself, "What the hell am I doing with my life?" Not because he has no potential, not because he doesn't know what he should do, not because he has never wanted to change, but because deep down, he knows. He knows he has allowed too many days to pass in compromise. And listen carefully, brothers. A man usually doesn't fall apart in one day. He doesn't lose his life because of one big failure. It's usually not one single event that destroys everything. It's usually not one morning where he wakes up and everything suddenly collapses. Most of the time, it doesn't happen like that. A man slips much slower than that, much quieter than that, in a way that is hard to notice while it is happening. He slips in ordinary days. One morning he says, "Just 10 more minutes." One hard task, he says, "I'll do it later." One plan, he says, "I'll start next week." One promise to himself, he says, "It's just today." One workout he skips. One page he doesn't write. One important call he avoids. One decision he delays. Another day passes, and he doesn't do the thing he knows he needed to do. And from the outside, nothing looks serious. Nobody sees it. Nobody reminds him. Nobody calls him out. Nobody knows he just betrayed himself one more time. But he knows. That's the problem. A man can lie to other people for a long time. He can smile. He can go to work. He can answer messages. He can talk normally. He can act like everything is fine. But when the night comes down, when the room gets quiet, when there is nobody left to perform for, he still knows exactly how he lived that day. He knows what he avoided. He knows what he promised and didn't keep. He knows he could have done better. And the most painful thing is not failure. The most painful thing is knowing you could be better, but continuing to live beneath that truth. Brothers out there, maybe you know that feeling. That feeling when nobody is blaming you, but you can't fully respect yourself. That feeling when nothing big happened, but something inside still feels heavy. That feeling when you were busy all day, but by the time night comes, you know you didn't really move forward. That feeling when you know you're not stupid, you're not weak, you're not out of options, but somehow you keep repeating the same old cycle. That is a very specific kind of tiredness for a man. It is quiet. It is hard to explain. But it eats into your self-respect, one small piece at a time. Because every time you say you'll do something and you don't do it, a small part of you gets weaker. Every time you make a promise to yourself and break it, something inside you starts trusting your words a little less. Every time you choose comfort over what is right, you are teaching yourself that your own word has no weight. And if that happens long enough, one day you stop believing you can change. Not because you truly can't, but because you have collected too much evidence that you quit. That's how a man loses trust in himself. It doesn't require a huge tragedy. It doesn't require betrayal. It doesn't require the world to do anything to him. Sometimes, he is the one removing one small brick after another from his own foundation. And then one day, he wonders why he can't stand as firmly as he used to. A lot of people say they need more motivation. Brothers, maybe what you are missing is not motivation. Maybe what you are missing is a standard. Motivation is not reliable. Today you feel fired up. Tomorrow you feel empty. Today you watch a video, hear one strong sentence, and feel like you want to change your whole life. Tomorrow it rains. Your body feels tired. Work gets messy. One message throws your mind off, and all that inspiration disappears. If your life only moves in the right direction when you feel motivated, then you are not really leading your life. You are being led by your emotions, and emotions change all the time. A man cannot build a solid life on something that changes every day. There will be days when you don't want to do it. There will be days when everything feels pointless. There will be mornings when your body feels heavy the moment you wake up. There will be days when you don't want to talk to anyone. There will be days when nobody cheers for you. Nobody asks if you are okay. Nobody pats you on the back. Nobody cares whether you kept your word to yourself today or not. And those are the days that show you who you are. Not the days when you feel motivated. Anybody can do well when it feels easy. Anybody can say they will change when they are inspired. Anybody can make promises when their blood is warm and their mind is excited. But life doesn't change in those moments. Life changes on the days you don't want to do it, but you do it anyway. Not because you like it, not because you feel good, not because you are certain everything will work out, but because you told yourself, "This is my standard." A grown man does not need to feel strong all the time. He just needs to stop letting the weakest part of him drive. Being tired doesn't make you weak. Being afraid doesn't make you weak. Feeling bored doesn't make you weak. Having low days doesn't make you weak. But letting every emotion become an excuse day after day, that is how a man hands his life over to weakness. And you know where it usually begins? It begins in the morning. Not because the morning is magic, not because waking up early automatically makes you successful. We've heard enough of that. The morning matters because it is the first time in the day that you vote for the man you are becoming. The moment you open your eyes, you are already standing in front of a choice. You get up like you said you would, or you start negotiating. 5 more minutes. 10 more minutes. I slept late last night. I feel a little tired today. I'll get serious tomorrow. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Nobody sees that negotiation, but you see it. Your brain sees it. Your body sees it. And if the first thing you do in the day is break a promise to yourself, then the whole day has already started with a dangerous message. My word can bend when I feel uncomfortable. This is not about the alarm clock. This is about command. Who commands your morning? You or the phone? You or your emotions? You or the laziness that woke up with you? A lot of men open their eyes and immediately grab their phone. Messages, notifications, news, social media, other people's lives, other people's problems, the noise of the world. They let everything outside step into their mind before they even ask themselves, what standard do I need to live by today? And then they wonder why the whole day feels like they are being dragged around, reacting, chasing, getting pulled apart, busy but not moving forward. Brothers out there, if you hand the steering wheel to the world in the first minutes of your day, don't be surprised when by night you feel like you didn't end up where you wanted to be. Owning your morning does not need to be dramatic. You don't need to wake up at 4 a.m. You don't need to film yourself drinking lemon water, breathing deeply, and standing in the sunlight like some character on the internet. You don't need to turn discipline into a performance. You just need the first action of the day to belong to you. Get up when you said you would. Sit still for a moment. Breathe. Don't open the door to the noise too early. Write down 1 to 3 things that actually matter today. Not a long list that lets you pretend you are busy, just 1 to 3 things. The kind of things that, if completed, would make you know the day was not wasted. That is how you give your day a spine. A day without a spine will drag you everywhere. Whoever needs you, you run. Whatever makes the loudest noise, you react. Whatever is easy, you do first. Whatever is hard, you leave for later. Then night comes, and you feel tired, but not proud. That is a very uncomfortable kind of tired. Tired because you did many small things, but the thing that mattered most remained untouched. And that leads us to the hard task. Every day usually has one. It is not always the biggest task, but it is the one you are avoiding. A phone call, an email, a workout, a page you need to write, a decision, an honest conversation. A task that you know would make the rest of the day feel lighter if you finished it. But you don't want to do it. So you check email first, clean your desk first, make coffee first, watch a little news first, reply to a few messages first, handle some small errands first. From the outside, it looks like you are working, but really, you are avoiding with structure. A lot of men live like this, busy all day, but avoiding the one thing that could actually move their life. And brothers, the hard thing does not disappear just because you avoid it. It grows inside your mind. The more you avoid it, the heavier it becomes. The longer you leave it, the more power it has over you. At some point, the task itself may not even be that big anymore, but its shadow inside your mind becomes huge. A man who wants to reclaim his life has to learn to hit the hard thing while it is still small. Don't wait until it becomes a monster. Don't wait until the anxiety grows teeth. Don't wait until you feel ready. Ready usually comes after action, not before it. You do it, and then momentum comes. You face it, and then you feel lighter. You begin, and then you realize it was not as terrifying as your mind made it. Some days, winning the first hard task is enough to pull the entire day back toward you. Not because everything after that becomes easy, but because you sent yourself a message. Today, I did not run. That sentence matters more than you think. A man needs small pieces of evidence like that, not to show anyone, but to remind himself that he is still holding the wheel. Then there is focus. Brothers, this is one of the most stolen things in our time. Not money, not even time. Attention. A man who loses his attention for too long loses his depth. He is still alive, still working, still answering, still scrolling, still listening, still watching. But inside, he is being split into small pieces. A little piece at work, a little piece on the phone, a little piece in the past, a little piece in worry, a little piece in an unanswered message, a little piece in somebody else's life, a little piece in comparison, a little piece in things that have nothing to do with his future. And by the end of the day, he feels exhausted, but he doesn't understand why. Because his energy has been leaking all day, not from one big wound, from hundreds of small holes. A little social media, a little checking notifications, a little switching tabs, a little multitasking, a little meaningless conversation, a little reaction to every little thing that appears. All those little things add up to a scattered life. And a scattered man has a hard time becoming dangerous in the right way. He has a hard time going deep. He has a hard time finishing. He has a hard time building anything with weight. He has a hard time trusting himself because he is always living on the surface. Focus is not just a productivity skill. For a man, focus is a form of life force. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. Where your energy goes long enough, your life begins to grow. If your attention is constantly pulled by cheap things, your life will reflect that. If your attention is placed on what matters, even slowly, your life begins to take shape. A man with depth is not the man who does the most things. He is the man who can stay with what matters long enough for it to produce something. And that is rare. In a world where everybody is being pulled away, the man who can sit with one hard thing for 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 2 hours, that man has an advantage. Quiet, not flashy, but powerful. When you sit down to do something important, your brain will resist. It wants to open the phone, it wants to check something, it wants to stand up, it wants to do something easier, it wants a little dopamine. Don't assume that means you are on the wrong path. Sometimes that is the sign you are on the right one. The first stage of focus is often uncomfortable, but if you stay long enough, the mind begins to settle. Something deeper appears, and that is where you begin to rebuild your life. Not in the moments where you skim across everything, but in the moments where you stay. Then come the excuses. Listen closely to this part. Excuses do not arrive with an ugly face. They don't say, "I'm here to ruin your life." No, they arrive softly, reasonably, almost like they're taking care of you. You're tired today. Just rest today. You can do it tomorrow. This isn't the right time. You need to prepare more. You'll do better when your mind feels clearer. What difference does one time make? And the truth is, one time often doesn't destroy anything. The problem is, a man rarely loses because of one time. He loses because one time becomes the hidden rule. Every time you negotiate with excuses, you are teaching your mind that your standard can be lowered if your feelings make a good enough argument. And feelings are very good at making arguments. They know how to use your tiredness. They know how to use your fear. They know how to use your past. They know how to use that sentence, "You deserve to rest." And yes, you do deserve rest, but you have to be awake enough to know the difference between real rest and avoidance dressed up as rest. A grown man does not hate himself. He does not need to punish himself. But he also does not allow every uncomfortable feeling to become a reason to retreat. There are days when you genuinely need rest, and there are days when you are just looking for an excuse. You know the difference. Nobody needs to explain it to you. You know it inside. Discipline is not about never being tired. Discipline is about not letting tiredness always have the final word. And here is something practical. Do not debate excuses for too long, because if you debate them for too long, they have already won half the fight. The standard has to be decided before the emotion arrives. I train for 20 minutes. I write 500 words. I do the hard task first. I don't open my phone in the first 60 minutes. I end the day by preparing for tomorrow. Not because every day feels good, but because that is the rule. If the rule only works when you feel comfortable, it is not a rule, it is a suggestion. And a man's life cannot be built on weak suggestions. It needs laws, small laws, but real ones. Then there is something else that matters: completion. A lot of men think they are tired because they are doing too much. Not always. Sometimes you are tired because too many things are unfinished. One task hanging open, one call not made, one decision not made, one messy room, one open project, one promise not kept, one small thing you keep avoiding day after day. Those things are like hooks in the mind. They hook into your energy. They don't scream, but they pull, quietly, all day. And after a few months, a man can feel heavy without even knowing why. No big event, nobody did anything to him, but his mind is full of open loops. Finishing one small thing is more powerful than people think. It is not just finishing a task, it is a statement. I am a man who follows through. I don't let things rot in my mind. I don't live with too many mental debts. You don't need to finish your whole life in one day, but every day, close a few loops. One small task, one corner of the room, one email, one phone call, one page, one workout, one small promise. Completion creates momentum, and momentum is more important than motivation. Motivation is a feeling. Momentum is evidence. When you finish one thing, the next thing becomes a little lighter. Not because it suddenly gets easy, but because you start to feel yourself moving. A man standing still has a hard time beginning, but a man with momentum has an easier time continuing. So don't look down on small wins, brothers. Men rebuild their lives with small wins more often than with big declarations. Then there is the body. A lot of men try to fix their lives only with thinking. More analysis, more planning, more videos, more advice, more ideas. But they forget they are not just a head, they are a body. And a body that gets neglected long enough will drag the mind down with it. Bad sleep, little movement, careless eating, sitting all day, head down all day, tight shoulders, heavy chest, shallow breathing. Then you wonder why you are irritable, tired, unfocused, and easy to break. It is not always because you lack willpower. Sometimes your system is simply running on empty. A man who does not move his body for too long loses something that is hard to name.
Not just health. He loses the feeling of living inside a body that can act. A sluggish body creates a sluggish mind. A heavy body creates heavy decisions. A neglected body weakens self-respect very quickly. Movement does not have to mean training like an athlete. You don't need to break your limits every day. You don't need to do it for show. You don't need to prove your masculinity. Daily movement is simply a way to remind your body that you are still alive, still moving, still not stuck. Walk, do push-ups, stretch, lift, run lightly, sweat a little, breathe deeper, get the blood moving, wake up the nervous system. A man with energy needs fewer excuses. When your body is weak, excuses sound very reasonable. When your body has energy, many excuses lose their voice. That is why movement is part of discipline. Not because of the body image, because your life needs a foundation. You cannot demand a sharp mind from a neglected body. You cannot demand strong decisions from a nervous system that is always drained. You cannot build a better life if every day you live like you are slowly draining yourself. Then there is one more thing. Raise your standards. Not just your goals, your standards. A goal is what you say. A standard is what you no longer accept below. Many men have big goals, but low daily standards. They want a better life, but their mornings still begin in chaos. They want better health, but they treat their body like trash. They want more freedom, but they sell their attention cheaply every day. They want respect, but they don't respect their own word. They want change, but they keep living through the same old operating system. Brothers, life does not listen to your goals as much as you think. It watches your standards. It watches what you do when nobody is looking. It watches how you live on ordinary days. It watches how you behave when you are tired. It watches whether you keep your word. It watches whether you let things drift. A man with standards does not need to talk too much. He lives differently. Not perfectly, not always winning, but there are things he no longer allows. He no longer allows the day to begin with noise. He no longer allows himself to avoid the important thing forever. He no longer allows his body to decline without resistance. He no longer allows himself to break every small promise and then wonder why he has no confidence. He no longer allows excuses to write his schedule. Standards are not cruelty. Standards are respect. Respect for your time, respect for your body, respect for your future, respect for the man you are trying to become. And sometimes, raising your standards will make you lonelier for a while, because not everyone likes the version of you that has standards. Some people were used to the easier version of you, used to you always being available, used to you always saying yes, used to you abandoning your own goals to make things convenient for others. When you start changing, some people will feel uncomfortable. That's fine. You are not here to make everybody comfortable by betraying yourself. A man who wants a better life has to accept the cost of new standards. Sometimes that cost is being less liked by certain people. Sometimes it is discomfort. Sometimes it is silence. Sometimes it means leaving behind a few habits, a few environments, a few relationships that only feed the weaker version of you. Not because you are better than anyone, but because you are tired of living beneath what you know is true. And finally, brothers, end the day properly. This sounds small, but it is not small. Many men let their days die in chaos. Work until they are tired, scroll until late, leave everything open, sleep with a head full of noise, wake up the next morning already carrying yesterday's mental debt, and then they call it exhaustion. But sometimes it is not just exhaustion, it is lack of closure. A day does not need to be perfect. You do not need to win everything. Nobody wins everything. But you need to end the day like a man who still respects his life. Clean up a little. Write down what you actually did. Look honestly at what was not right. Don't beat yourself up. Don't hide. Just look. What did I do right today? What did I avoid today? What is the first thing I need to handle tomorrow? 3 questions. That's it. But if you do them consistently, they change the way you live. Because your day no longer disappears into fog. You turn it into data. Weak men judge themselves only by feelings. Today I feel bad, so I must be bad. Today I feel good,
so I must be fine.
A mature man looks at data. Where did I keep my word? Where did I break it? What needs to change tomorrow? No drama, no self-pity, no performance, just adjustment. Ending the day strong does not mean doing more work. Sometimes it means shutting things down at the right time. Preparing your workout clothes for the morning, writing down the first hard task, clearing your desk, turning off the phone. Sleeping like a man who knows tomorrow he still has a battle to fight. That is how you stop today from poisoning tomorrow. Brothers, by this point, maybe you realize none of this is new. And you're right, it's not new. Most of the things that save a man are not new. They are old, simple, quiet. But because they are simple, people disrespect them. Get up when you said you would. Do the hard thing. Don't open the phone too early. Protect your focus. Stop negotiating with excuses. Finish what is hanging open. Move your body. Raise your standards. End the day with some dignity. Nothing flashy, no great secret, no 30-day miracle formula, no promise that your life will change overnight. But if you do these things long enough, something deep begins to shift. Not just your results, the way you see yourself. One day, you realize you are no longer just the man who promises, you are the man who does. Not perfectly, but he does. One day, you realize you need less motivation because you have rhythm. One day, you notice you are not as afraid of the hard thing because you have proof that you can face it. One day, the nights feel lighter because you are no longer carrying so many wasted days into sleep. One day, you begin to trust yourself again. And brothers, when a man begins to trust himself again, his life changes direction. Quietly, without needing anyone to clap, without needing anyone to approve. But it changes, because he no longer has to beg for motivation from the outside. He no longer waits for someone to save him. He no longer sits around waiting for the perfect day to appear. He understands something cold but freeing. No one is coming to save you, and that is not entirely bad news. It means the power to begin is still in your hands. No one is coming to save you from the phone. No one is coming to save you from procrastination. No one is coming to save you from excuses. No one is coming to save you from those mornings when you negotiate with yourself. No one is coming to save you from the regret you feel at night. But no one can stop you from standing up either. No one can stop you from keeping one small promise today. No one can stop you from doing the first hard thing. No one can stop you from turning off the noise for 60 minutes. No one can stop you from walking, training a little, closing one unfinished loop, writing tomorrow's plan. No one can stop you from becoming a more trustworthy man, one day at a time. And that is freedom. Not the freedom to do whatever you feel like, but freedom from being dragged around by every feeling. Freedom from always promising and breaking. Freedom from living like a man with no spine in his day. Freedom from the quiet feeling that every day you are abandoning yourself a little more. Your life does not have to become perfect. No life is perfect. But it can get better, clearer, cleaner, less chaotic, less full of regret, more grounded, more self-respecting. And it begins with things so small that your ego may want to ignore them. One morning without negotiation. One hard task you don't avoid. 1 hour of focus that doesn't get broken into pieces. One excuse you stop believing. One unfinished thing completed. One body moved. One day closed with intention. These things look small,
But a man is rebuilt through small things. You don't need to announce to the whole world that you are changing. A lot of men announce too much and do too little.
Tomorrow. When the alarm goes off, remember what you are building. When your hand reaches for the phone, stop. When the hard task appears, don't run. When excuses start speaking in that very reasonable voice, don't sit there debating too long. When night comes, don't let the day die in chaos. That's it. Not beautiful, not romantic, not cinematic, but real. And a man's life usually gets better through real things like that. Not through the big dream he tells other people about, but through the small standards he keeps when nobody is watching. So if tonight you are in a season where you know you could be better, if you are tired of starting and quitting, if you feel busy but not progressing, if night comes and there is that familiar regret sitting in your chest, maybe you don't need a whole new life right away. Maybe you just need to begin with one small thing. Don't break the next promise you make to yourself. A small promise. Don't perform. Don't make some grand vow. Don't say, "Tomorrow, I'm going to change my entire life." You don't need that. Choose one thing. Do it. Tomorrow, choose again. Do it again. And keep going. One day, you will look back and realize your life did not change because of one dramatic explosion. It changed because you stopped negotiating with the things that were keeping you weak. Day by day, in silence, like a man. That's all for tonight, brothers. If these words found you at the right time, don't turn them into a passing feeling. Don't just listen and leave it there. Tomorrow, choose one small promise. Just one. Keep it. Nobody needs to know. Nobody needs to clap. Nobody needs to approve. You knowing is enough. And sometimes that is enough to begin pulling your life back into your own hands. Rest now, brothers. Tomorrow we continue. Black Flag is still here, and I'll keep speaking to the men out there who are rebuilding themselves in silence. I'll see you in the next one.